together here in Petaluma. If you're here because you want to buy a timeshare condo, that's next week. This is we're going to be talking about disaster preparedness, what you can do to prepare yourself in case of an emergency, what you can do before, during, and after. And we're also going to talk about our friends from the Petaluma Healthcare District here. And they brought one of their friends, he's hiding back in the corner. We're going to be talking about hands-only CPR, AED, and if you're interested in further training, what you can do there. So I'm with you from Rebuilding Together. It's Victoria. Hi, Victoria. So just a brief introduction on the Petaluma Fire Department. Today and every day, there's 15 firefighters on duty a day. Petaluma Fire Department, we run fire response, obviously, we run our own ambulances. We have 2 advanced life support ambulances. We respond to over 5,000 calls for service per year, which is about 14 a day. So we have just the right amount of resources to handle day-to-day operations. Heart attacks, a fire here and there, broken leg. When there's a big disaster, quickly the Petaluma Fire Department, the police department, and other services are going to be overwhelmed. We rely on mutual aid with our partners, our other agencies, fire departments, police departments around us. But when something catastrophic such as an earthquake happens, it's quickly overwhelmed. So our big push is to help people be prepared so they're better off if something like that happens. So we're doing our best to put those resources out there. We can't train everybody on everything, but the more we can put out that information, give people the resources, the better off everybody will be in case something goes horribly wrong. As you can see, it's not just if, it's when. The first step it takes, and I want to thank everybody for being here. The first step it takes is having an interest and making a personal commitment to be prepared. So we have a room full of people, so you've already taken that first step. Congratulations. You're a step ahead. We had a disaster fair the other day, the Scouts at Freeman Brothers. We had over 300 participants. It went really well. We talked about a lot of the same stuff that I'll mention here today. And they did a really nice job organizing that event. A couple things about my affiliation with Rebuilding Together and with the fire department. We have a lot of common missions. Rebuilding Together's main focus is to keep people safe in their homes. I've used my position in the fire department to kind of cross and task that with, that's my goal as a firefighter, is to keep people safe in their homes and out. So one thing we do, what Rebuilding Together does, on some of the times that we're doing, we help out low-income people. Typically, it's elderly, it's disabled veterans. We help them have a safer home. That could be a roof over their head, running water. It's also stuff, speaking of disaster preparedness things, like having grab handles, like having a water heater that's strapped, so when there's a big earthquake, that water heater doesn't fall over and cause a gas leak, will get your house on fire, that kind of stuff. So, as we're building together, one of the things we do when we solicit donations, we offer things like, it's kind of ironic, and I'm not here to necessarily plug donations, but I'm just showing the tie-in. We offer a disaster preparedness kit, we offer an emergency radio, and it's stuff that we can do when people give back to the community, things we can give back to the community to help them be better prepared. So, the first thing we can do is, when we're thinking about us as being prepared, there's 3 steps: pre-planning, prevention, and education. Now the pre-planning comes with the stuff like the disaster preparedness kit, having a plan, meeting your neighbors, they know who to check on, educating your family, maybe assembling your camping gear to where you know where it is, that kind of stuff. So, and I bet you everybody in this room is a little bit prepared, more prepared than they even think they are. So say the gas gets shut off to your house, you can't cook. Who has a barbecue at their house? Bingo! You guys are cooking. Everybody else will try to do that so you know where to go for dinner. Okay, how about, but what I'm going to try to get a point across is you're probably more prepared than you think. You know, with a little bit of tweaking your supplies, with a little bit of education, you don't have to leave here to spend build a bunker, or do anything else that's kind of out of control. You can if you want, it's great, just let us know so we know where to go when it happens. But you can do all these things with the stuff you have. Who has food in their pantry at home? Right? Who has water at their house? Or maybe water bottles already for like going hiking, like full water bottles, anybody? Who has a water heater in your house? Not an on-demand, but a regular water, 30, 40-gallon water heater. Guess what? You know how to get that water out of your water heater and to prevent it from being contaminated? If the water service gets shut off in Petaluma, you have 30 to 40 gallons of fresh, drinkable water in your house. Question?
How do we get someone to show us how to get the water out? I have no clue.
Good question. Great question. You can Google it.
Oh, sure.
Sometimes there's family or friends that know. I'll give you a quick one. You want to know right now? Just a quick one. So if water gets shut off, there's a big earthquake, chances are there's going to be broken water lines. You can see what happened in Napa, and we'll use it as other examples later. There's going to be broken water lines. Even if you have water going to your house, it's not a broken line, your water might get turned off by the city's water department. So there's a leak somewhere else in the system. With leaks in the system, it's not just the water pipes that break, it's the sewer pipes that break also. So we're going to put out, pretty quickly, we're going to put out a water boil notice, letting everybody know over AM radio or text messaging if it's available, mix alerts, some other stuff we'll talk about, to boil your water before you drink it. If your water's still on, you can shut off the water valve on top of your water heater where the cold water comes in. You can turn that off. Now no water will come in your water heater to contaminate your water. Then there's a drain on the bottom of your water heater. If you ever flush your water heater, which is recommended but nobody ever does, you can open up that drain and water conceivably should come out unless there's a lot of rust or something else in it. Now with that water cut off at the top and the drain open on the bottom, it's kind of like when you take a straw and you put it in a glass of water, you thumb over the straw, you pick it up, the water's still in there, it won't come out the bottom. So every water heater in its code has a pressure relief valve. A lot of times that pressure relief valve, it has a pipe going down that drains to the floor or will drain to outside. It's to prevent your water heater from exploding if it gets overpressurized. It's got you can flip up the end of it and it'll let air into that valve and that'll release the water out the bottom of your water heater. So Google it, and then you get to see all the stuff. I didn't bring a water heater today to show you. But I know. So there's some good things where you've got something to maybe cook with at your house, you've got food in your house, you've got water, blankets, all that kind of stuff. Let me make sure I don't miss something on there. Oh, camping gear. Who goes camping? You've got camping gear, tents, tarps, camping bags. With that stuff, I can't remember if it's still out there. Most of my stuff I keep in a shed in my backyard. That way, if my house catches on fire or it's uninhabitable, that shed, you can shake that earth forever and that shed's not going anywhere. It's like a one-piece thing. So all my camping gear is outside so I can have access. If I go camping, I go get it out of the shed. But I don't have it in my attic stashed underneath a whole bunch of other stuff. It'll be tough to get to if my house gets shaken. But just a couple little things. Guess how much money I've costed you so far? Nothing. Nothing. Well, what propane for your barbecue? So far, you might have enough stuff that's already helping out a little bit. How about an AM radio? If everything fails, no cell phones, no nothing works, no internet, who has an AM radio? Who has a car? Whose car has AM radio? Bam, another free one. All right, we got these up later. A couple other things you can do while pre-planning an event, and this is a big one. I work with the Petaluma City Schools on how they can help prepare for an earthquake. And one of their big things they practice with is, guess what happens with an earthquake? Do you think those parents, you think that school has to be prepared to house these kids for 4 days? No. No way. What's the first thing a parent's going to do? Go get their kid. So the school's a big thing they train on is how to do the early release. One problem they found is, and it makes total sense, If you work in San Francisco or Santa Rosa, it might be tough to get to school to get your kid. But if you be comfortable, maybe your next door neighbor isn't somebody that typically picks up your child for you at school. So if you're in a disaster, you wouldn't mind if your next door neighbor picked up your child, just so you knew your child was at your house, that we're with the neighbor, so when you do get home, that your child is there. Put that person on the list also. So you can tell us what's in an emergency, and they say, what's that mean? They can figure it out, they know. Catastrophic event. So put your child on a list at school will help out, or putting a neighbor on the list, or anybody else that might not typically pick up your child, if you wouldn't mind if they did. Prevention. So we've got pre-planning, prevention, and pre-planning is like having the kids, having the stuff. Prevention. Oh, and if you want to get a bigger kid, you're curious about what should also be in your kit, I've got a couple of good examples here. One that rebuilding does, one that the American Red Cross, I think was about $70, $60. I have an example here. Here's the one motivation to have good food in your kit. See this? This is 2,000 calories. I don't know, really. I'll let you read the back. In a disaster, I want to use this to like prop the door open or something. I don't want, this is last resort. But it's there if I need it. So there's your motivation, right? Have something. So all this stuff, flashlight, water, little AM radios, some little first aid supplies. This is all stuff that you can have or you can get to be a little bit better prepared. Another pre-planning thing is, actually I'm going to go into the response parts. So you've got pre-planning, prevention, and education. Prevention. This is the big one. This is the biggest thing we can do as citizens, as first responders, make sure my family's prepared, teach our kids, our family. Oh, I forgot where I was going on that. All this stuff's on the internet. If you want to know what else to put in my kit, go back to that direction. Lost my train of thought. It's on the cityofpetaluma.net, ready.gov, Red Cross. There's resources out there. There's more resources than you can count to figure out what to put in your preparedness kit. Medications, dog food, all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to go over all that stuff tonight because I'm a hands-on kind of person. I want to show you some other good tips that aren't necessarily out there. Alright, where was I? Back to, another thing on the internet stuff. The city has a Nixle alert page. Who's familiar with Nixle?
Fabulous.
Except for the cops doing Nixle alert at 3 in the morning. I promise once a week those police officers have a Nixle alert on a press release. Like, oh, are you kidding me? Couldn't I wait till 9 a.m.? So there's Nixle. You get emergency alerts through Nixle. You can have it set up for only during a disaster you want to alert. You can set it up at any community event you want to alert. And then also Nextdoor. It's a new thing the city's participating in. Who's heard of Nextdoor? You can get on Nextdoor, you can do stuff that's about your neighborhood, or the city's now on and we can do an alert to a specific neighborhood or an alert to the whole city and get information. The city's webpage, cityofpetaluma.net, and the fire department's page, we have alerts and notifications, you can look for updates. Now, if none of that's working, so that has resources on what to put in your kit, what to do if you're driving, how to help your children deal with disaster. All those resources are out there. Your responsibility to look at those if you're interested in that and to become prepared. I have a feel a lot of you will, and that's why you're here. So the step pre-planning, prevention, education. Prevention. This is the biggest. Prevention is the biggest thing that we can do. In Napa, they had an earthquake. Everybody hear about it? Okay, so they had an earthquake. They had about. In the grand scheme of things, that wasn't that big of an earthquake, right? It was the biggest one we've had in a while, but how many people had a house totally collapse on them and lose their lives? None. One person died from that earthquake, and it was a couple days later, and she got hit in the head. She didn't go to the hospital, she had a small head. So within like the first hour, almost 400 people went to the local hospital. You know why they went? Do you think that hospital was inundated? Do you think 911 was inundated? Do you think 911 had bigger things to care about or to take care of, like mobile home parks catching on fire and some of the other stuff? They had 8 fires in the city when that happened. What you can do, and those injuries that happened in Napa, they were from picture frame, falls off the wall, hits you in the head. You need stitches. That falls off there, hits you in the head. People jump out of bed and start running down the hallway. Guess what's in the hallway now? Picture frames full of glass. They cut their feet. I have a feeling, even if I said ready, go, and we all tried to get outside at the same time, I bet you by the time we got done, we'd have one broken leg, a separated shoulder, somebody have a cut head, and that's just without the earth even shaking, right? So prevention, doing things like securing stuff in your house, having your water heater strapped so it doesn't fall over and create a gas leak in your house catches on fire. Not having picture frames hanging right near your bed. They could fall on you. Because conceivably, I wish this is true, 8 hours a day you're in bed, so that's a third of your life, so a 33% chance you're in bed when the big one hits, right? So don't have that big dresser that's this tall right next to your bed, so you're laying here. You're gonna do it tonight, you're laying in bed like, oh man, I hope it doesn't happen tonight. Because like I was just talking, that thing's gonna hit me. You know, so keep that stuff. Now you can leave it there, but secure it to the wall. You can Google it, another question's coming. Google how to do it. You can secure items like dressers, bookcases, china hutches. You can secure that stuff to the wall, anchor it into a stud, help prevent that from happening. If you have precious dishes in a china hutch, you can get those child safety locks on there so that if it starts moving, the dishes don't come out of it. What's some other prevention stuff? We had a firefighter with big screen TVs came out. He got one. It's all great until I heard it crash. Well, we had an earthquake, and his 2-year-old was under his big screen TV. And he climbed up on it. Didn't hurt him. Scared him. Scared the firefighter. Now that thing's anchored to the wall because the sight of 2 legs coming out from under a TV, like a Wicked Witch of the West kind of thing, you know, or the East, whatever. You know, so, and that's how you did during an earthquake. Did you have a question or an addition on this stuff? Yeah. So something you want like up here that you don't necessarily want to take down, there's museum food that you might be able to use to secure stuff. Good recommendation. Also shoes. So half the night, there might be glasses on the ground. Having shoes next to your bed is an idea. That's how most people got hurt in that earthquake. So what do you do if there's a big earthquake? Right now, if this room started shaking, I'll give you 2 choices. Do you want to stay in here or do we want to run outside? Who says stay in here? Who says run outside? Alright, so what you want to do is stay where you are. You drop, cover, and roll on. I keep mixing up. I say stop, drop, and roll all the time. So next time there's an earthquake, I'm ready to jump out of bed and roll down the hallway. It's like, oh, that was from I'm on fire. See, stop, drop, roll, drop, cover, hold on. So if we were here in this earthquake right now, everybody want to drop to the ground, get under cover, and hold on to that. Whether it's a table, a desk, a stool. These guys might be fighting over here. If it's a small item, or there's 3 people around a small item, have your head underneath it. You're trying to protect your head and your neck, cover yourself up. Because what we're more worried about is that clock is going to fall on you. That window is going to break and glass fall on you. Like I said, if we ran outside, people get, speaker, sorry. This guy's going to get it right here. This guy's going to get it. You might need CPR later. So, yeah, he might make it. He already doesn't have a pulse and he's not breathing, so don't worry about him later. So, if we lose on the Napa quake, did downtown Napa look at all like downtown Petaluma? Did you see what was on the streets in downtown Napa after the earthquake? Thank heaven that happened at night and people weren't on that street. So if you're in our downtown, it's actually safer to be in the building than out on the sidewalk. just about the time those bricks are coming down. Don't want that to happen. Drop, cover, hold on. Your kids know it, your grandkids know it. They are smarter than you. Who knew, right? Not really, but
if you're outside, you should run inside.
no, that's it. If you're next to a brick building, get away from the brick building. No, don't run inside. If you're in a room where there's absolutely nothing you can get underneath, I'm pretty sure you know the doorway. That's still okay. But the main reason is because if you're in a doorway, you're less likely to have stuff fall on top of it. So, any questions? Stop, drop, cover, hold on.
I know I heard it before, but I forget. What about if you're in the car?
If you're in the car, you pull over and stop.
Some people have told me they were in the car, but didn't know it was an earthquake going on. I mean, I don't
know. Yeah, I haven't talked to anybody, and I don't know that felt when, like we had Lobo Prieta, that, you know, those people in their car, they didn't even feel it. They just saw the road doing this in front of them. Oh, that's weird. So, and it's also on the city's webpage what to do if you're driving. So.
Did you say to pull over, but do you stay in the car?
Yeah, just like if you're in your house, your initial action is drop, cover, hold on. When the earth stops shaking, then you get up and you move on to plan B, which we'll go over in just a minute. For the next phase 2. Do you have another question before we move on?
I was going to say that I was in the earthquake when it was in the car driving, and it feels like you're having a flat tire.
Really?
It bounced around, it feels like a flat tire.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, so a lot of the safest place for you to be, the best thing you can do is drop, cover, hold on. In the United States, even in Lobo Prieta, like there's like full collapses. There's usually the soft stories, which are we have a couple buildings here in Petaluma where it's just parking like underneath apartments, so there's not a lot of cross bracing. So those will collapse. You saw it in LA, you saw it in Lobo Prieta. Napa, do they have any soft storage still?
They have carports.
The carport, you're right, the carports went. So imagine now if they actually had, you know, the apartments on top of them, you're right. There's not a lot of structural bracing, side bracing on this. So even in an old brick building, the most likely thing that's going to happen is not the whole building goes to the ground. It's going to be you get hit by something in that building. Now, and guess what? Even in third world countries, where the whole building does collapse, a week later, they're still finding people alive, right? Because they're in those void spaces. Because even if this building were to have a collapse, it would not pancake collapse. Pieces would come off the edge and pull down, and there'd be like these big void spaces in here. If you're underneath the table, underneath the bench, even if you're next to your couch, laying next to your couch, covering your head, if big stuff starts falling, you might be protected by leaning up against the couch, leaning up against the table. So drop, cover, hold on all those situations.
Regarding the driving situation when you pull over, could you comment on if there are power lines down, how you handle that if you're in the car?
If there's power lines down, don't drive over them. Don't drive over them.
When you get out of your car?
Don't step over them, don't get anywhere near them. If the power lines are on your car, stay in your car, don't get out. If the power line's touching your car, do not get out of your car. If you get out of your car, most likely you'll get electrocuted.
Yeah.
Boy. So, those are pretty good odds though, if you guys, you have power lines actually land. It can happen though. So drop, cover, hold on, and you think if everybody in Napa would have done the drop, cover, hold on, those 400 initial injuries probably would have been 30. So, I mean, really, people got cut on their feet, running out of their house, and that's how a lot of those injuries happen. So prevention, pre-planning, doing those prevention things like we're talking about, and then education, that's part of the education is the drop, cover, hold on. How to get water out of your water heater, like we talked about. How you can cook food. Who knows? So we do have an earthquake. You drop, cover, hold on. You're okay. Oh, I've got a great story on drop, cover, hold on. So in LA, during Northbridge, thank you. The Northbridge quake, there's a great video. It's a public awareness video they have there. You watch this video, and it's like, it gets to your heart. It's a woman talking about the Northbridge quake. And she's telling the story, and there's like this really, bad music in the background, and she's talking real soft. She's saying, yeah, when the earthquake hit, all I could think about was my daughter. And the earth was shaking, and I'm like, oh no, where's this going? She says, so all I could think about was her. So I started running down through the kitchen, things are falling. So the picture frames fell on the wood floor. I slipped on the picture frame, bounced off the wall, fell on the ground. She had separated her shoulder when she fell. Her arms all cut up and bloody. She belly crawls to the daughter's bedroom, and there she is asleep in bed. It's like, oh my gosh. So she went, and she's got a separated shoulder, she's bleeding all over the place, and it's like, oh my goodness, but it just really drives home the point of, don't do that. Drop, cover, hold on. Okay, quake's over. Now go check on your children. This really hit home to me too on the Napa one. We're at a family dinner right afterwards, and my brother says, oh, I ran in and grabbed Emily and ran outside. I'm in my boxer shorts with my daughter outside. What? And my mom says, oh, I can't remember what she said. I was like, it was worse. It's like, oh no, maybe we should talk. So they know how to shut off their gas. They know how to drop, cover, hold on. I've actually taught them, like, family dinners are great. I taught them hands-only CPR, which we'll be going over a little bit later. But I encourage you, if somebody in your family knows how to get the water out of a hot water heater or the water heater, if they know what the scrapping is supposed to look like, at your next family dinner or maybe a neighborhood barbecue, talk about this kind of stuff. Be an advocate for yourself, your family, and your community. Alright, now I'll move on to the next step. My little soapbox. So, the earth stops shaking, you drop, you cover, you roll on. Now I maybe tiptoe and go get my shoes on instead of running and stepping on glass. I'm going to check on children. I can now go do a survey of what's going on in my house. Smelling for gas, or listening to hear if I hear any gas, hissing. If you do, that's when you turn off your gas. If you don't hear that, don't turn off your gas, or you don't smell it. Well, what happened if in Petaluma we felt that Napa quake, if everybody in Petaluma would shut off their gas, we would have had another disaster. It'd be nobody can cook or has hot water for 3 weeks while PG&E comes and helps everybody turn their gas back on. So only do it if you smell gas or if you hear gas hissing. And you'll hear it in places where your gas appliances are. Your stove, your dryer, your furnace, but mainly your water heater. That's the most likely thing to move and break a gas line. Does everybody know where their gas meter is at their house? It's usually on the garage side. Even apartments have gas meters you can get to. I actually have a gas meter prop in my car that I brought, but it wasn't really a good spot. The mannequin took up all the room, so. A couple things you can do, and I went over this the Scouts deal we did on Saturday. You can have a couple things like this. You can buy one of these at Freeman Brothers, Home Depot, Lowe's, Orchard, they all have them. I put a little metal hook on it, and I actually hang this on my gas meter. That way, in my garage, in my toolbox that has one of these, and I just did this as a prop. You can have a press, a wrench, you don't have to go buy one. You can have a wrench or something. But this thing's going to be my toolbox, and my toolbox is going to be upside down on my garage floor with all my camping gear. Oh wait, not my camping gear, to the shed. Okay? With all this other stuff on top of it, I can't get to it. So if I leave this right there, and there's a gas leak in my house, and I'm not home, my wife, my son can go out and shut off my gas meter. Or my neighbor can do it for me. Or my neighbor can take mine and go turn off his if he needs to. So this is a nice little thing you do to kind of be ready to turn off your gas if you need to. It's an emergency gas shut-off wrench. How gas meters work, the gas meter has a pipe about that big around. It's coming out of the ground. When it comes out of the ground, before it gets to the meter and all the confusing part, there's going to be a valve on it. And the valve is just, it's in a valve, oh, I don't know, this shape. Right? Right? Or this shape. Metric standard. So that rectangle valve is going to be in line with that pipe. So you think about it, it's this way. This is the pipe, rectangle's this way. It's flowing with, it's open with the gas, right? It's letting the gas through it. As soon as you turn it that way, it's going crossways. The pipe's going up and down, and it's across, it's cutting off the gas. It's a quarter turn. It doesn't matter which way you turn it. It's not righty-tighty, it's not lefty-loosey. It's just a quarter turn, whichever way you want to do it. It might be a little stiff, you might have to smack on it with a rock or step on it to get it to turn. Don't go home and practice because you got a couple of PG&E. So that's a little something you can do to be a little bit to have that. Let's check this here a little bit more. We talked about game-rating your car. The other thing is water in your house. Does everybody know where their water shutoff is to their house? Yeah? Or is there a question?
Talking about turning the gas
Yes,
off.
yes.
And if it's cold, if it's dark outside, have a flashlight.
Good idea. Good idea. There's lots of options. Having one with your shoes under your bed's a nice one. Having the wind-up ones. Maybe make ones that plug into the wall so it's always charged. You can grab it. There's all sorts of good options like that out there. So please look at those web pages I told you about. And there's tons of ideas out there. So it's exactly right. That's a good point. Oh, also, you might be at home when it happens. You might be at work. You might be in your car. So at work, if you love wearing high heels this tall, at work, it could happen. You should have a pair of tennis shoes in your car because you might be in San Francisco, in LA, when those earthquakes happen. They're going to have to walk a long ways. A lot of times the transit systems are down. They're walking. Having a granola bar and a water bottle in your car. Pretty much always going to have your car there. I give my wife a hard time. She's back over there. I give her a hard time. She has the best disaster kit I know. In her car is like 4 half-eaten granola bars, like 6 water bottles with just a little bit drank off of them. There's like sweatshirts from last week's soccer game. There's a couple chairs in there. I mean, she's got, you could live out of that car for probably a week. So she's got it dialed. So yeah, so at your office, file cabinets, secure those to the wall. Or if you can't secure it to the wall, just make sure that your chair that you sit in the other 8 hours of the day isn't right next to that ominous 10-foot tall fountain. Okay. Question in the back? Comment?
Yeah, I'm just curious, why do you need PG&E to turn it back on? If you can turn it off on campus, and be done with it.
Why you can't turn it back on?
Yeah, why do you have to call it?
Good question. You can turn it back on, but your appliances aren't going to light. You'll have pilot lights that need to be lit, and if you know how to light a pilot light on your appliances, go for it. As a representative of the fire department in the city, say, call PG&E and have them light your pilot lights for it. We're not going to do a pilot light demonstration. But you're right, if you know how to do that, you can do that. But you can't, the problem with just turning it back on, if you have a problem with one of your pilot lights, how appliances are supposed to work, furnaces, water heaters, it's got a pilot light in it. If that pilot light blows out, there's a thing called a thermocoupler. That your pilot light is heating up the whole time, keeping gas going to it. If the pilot light blows out, the thermocoupler gets cold, it automatically shuts off gas to that appliance. Because in the old days, the pilot light blew out, the gas kept coming, until you found a new pilot light, some other appliance, and the house went boom. So, if you've got a problem with your thermo, you shut off your gas, all your pilot lights go out, you turn it back on, and you have a failure in a thermocoupler, usually they fail the other way, so it won't let it bring that light. But you don't know. You want to make sure all your appliances are working properly, so you didn't just make a gas leak in your house by having an unlit pilot light. Good question.
This is more of a statement than a question, but one of the things that's good to have is to buy a phone. An old phone, plug in. Because if your wireless phones go, you can't call. So if you can plug it directly in, you can use it. And another thing is call out of state. Get somebody in local, and they'll know the news because they're hearing it.
Yep, good point. There's a couple good points there. One, if you have a cordless phone in your house, even if the battery's full of charge, the power goes out in your house, that phone will not work because the base station doesn't have power. So I have one, I have a regular old phone. It's not so old. I know what I'm talking about, dude. But it's one that plugs right into the wall in my garage, and that's where I keep it.
It's a restaurant.
I installed it after I locked myself out so many times. I have to recall in the house. So I have one in my garage. It's a good point. And you can still make phone calls. And you can still call 911. You can still check on people. I don't know if it still applies, but with how the phone networks work, local, so many people will be calling into and out of a disaster area. For some reason, sometimes it's easier to call far away. So having a designated relative that all the relatives in Petaluma can call Joe in Montana, and then when you call Joe in Montana, he says, "Copy, I got you." And oh, by the way, your mom and dad already called in. It might be easier to call out of state than it is to call across town. But believe it or not, on the cell phone stuff, and it could totally happen where cell phones don't work at all. But the network gets so busy, and this has happened way more often in recent history, not just here, but Japan and everywhere else. The cell phones stayed up, but the phone lines were so inundated it was busy signal, but text messaging still worked. Something to think about. Yeah, if you've got a water bottle sitting in the sun, it can be leaching plastics in your water bottle. If it's in the trunk, it's pretty good. And yeah, but you know, part of it too is, if you have a water bottle in your car and every once in a while you drink it, that's okay. Just put a new one in. I actually encourage some people like spend $200 and buy all this disaster. Like I showed you earlier, buy a whole bunch of these things. Hey, but it's great for 10 years. Well, then in 10 years, what do you do with it? Hey, have those family dinners, right? So, but if you've got a kid, if you've got a, send it off to college. If he's not wrong with baby. So whether it's water, so I have water in my garage, and I have it in the, just the regular water bottles. And you know what, every once in a while we go camping, that's the water we go camping, and I replace it with fresh water. I actually don't have any food in my kit out in my garage, or in my shed. I don't have any food in there. So I've pretty much figured I've got enough in my pantry, I'll probably be able to get to my pantry. And you know what, my whole neighborhood isn't going to burn up and go to the ground. There's people, I have friends, I have family. I had food, and it was kind of a pain cycling through, but if you want to, do it. Put your food out there, and every 6 months, you don't go buy stuff, like you hate Beanie Weenies, don't buy Beanie Weenies for your disaster kit. Because what you should do is buy stuff you'll actually eat, and then in 6 months, go get it all, put it in your pantry, and buy, next time you go to the store, put that stuff out there. But stuff you'll eat, and you can cycle it through.
Well, I keep my water in half-gallon jugs. How often should I change the water out if I want to use that for drinking water in a disaster?
Do you have the when you buy it already with water in it? Or you fill it up?
I think I fill it up.
I think that on a lot of stuff, the recommendation is once a year.
Okay.
And you can add like a drop of bleach, a drop of iodine. But look, same thing, Google has a lot of good recommendations, but usually it's about every year. So the water you can buy that's already packaged, that'll last usually like 3 to 5 years. But if it's in the sun or if it's...
No, it's in the closet.
I mean, it might taste like plastic by the time you drink it, and that's kind of gross. So, it lasts a while, yeah. So, 911, believe it or not, it still happens. Earthquake in Napa, 911. Hey, how bad was that earthquake?
Oh,
where's the
God.
center? Yeah, don't do that. I think that's the majority of the stuff that I wanted to cover. The stuff that my goal is you could come here, you could go home and do absolutely nothing. If you want to, great. If you don't have to, you'll still walk away from this with something. It's kind of a pet peeve when you see people do some of this stuff. It's like, here you go. Here's 20 pieces of paper. Here's 30 checklists. Here's this. It's like, well, I didn't really get anything out of that. I mean, you did, but you have that resource. The city webpage, ready.gov, that's the federal site. Red Cross. But hopefully you've got a little bit of education, some good tips you can do, where maybe it's just You take that, you know, that big picture frame that looks really cool right above your bed, you know, the Rocky Mountains and the 100-pound frame, and you just move it somewhere else, so that thing doesn't hit you on the head and prevent something from happening. If you know somebody who's low income and maybe needs a water heater strapped, maybe they need a water heater, maybe they need a safe ramp to get in and out of their house, rebuilding together is an option. It's free. Rebuilding does that stuff for people. If you know people, a lot of times the people that do need this stuff aren't here. I do talks in lots of places. But if you know somebody that might be able to benefit from that, let us know, let that person know, encourage them to talk with Rebuilding, and maybe we can help them be better prepared in a disaster. We also do stuff like smoke detectors and all that kind of good stuff. I think I've got all my props done. I'll take some questions, and then we'll move into hands-only CPR, AED. I'll motivate you on why you want to do it and show you how easy it is. Question?
So we're very fortunate. We live in a wonderful neighborhood where somebody organized a meeting, and what we're doing is, what I was thinking about in particular was, in the event of a disaster, we live very close to City Hall. So the idea is, after a disaster, if you're looking for your loved ones, that's where you meet them. So it's just an idea. Somebody was gracious enough to organize this, and we're on our way to devising a plan for our neighborhood. But to know that is very comforting, because you know if the neighborhood is flattened, where you can find your loved ones, and it's a City Hall. So I encourage other people, to try to have that meeting and gather your neighbors and try to come together to just some kind of planning to look out for each other. We're very fortunate. We have a great neighborhood.
That's good. There's a couple neighborhood groups here in town that I work with. I go and talk to their neighborhood groups. I've actually provided them, provide them with literature, go to their board meetings when they do their disaster preparedness board, and anything we can do to help out with that, whether it's giving resources, giving advice, doing a talk like this to a neighborhood group. What we can't do is organize neighborhood groups, but we're more than willing and happy to help people be prepared by doing stuff like this, like encouraging people to go to the disaster fair we have with the scouts, and that's all really good stuff, really good. Having a meeting place, whether you have a fire in your apartment complex where I'm going to meet my family, or you have natural disaster, having a meeting place. Good. Any other questions?
I had visit Mayor Glass like 3 or 4 years ago, actually, right here when he used to give talks. And like, where should we in Petaluma go? Like, say your house just fell apart, whatever, I don't know, or the flood, I don't know. Where are we supposed to go?
Good question. We have many designated shelter sites in Petaluma. The main one is the Lucchese Community Center. Fairgrounds is another site. And pretty much every school, church, community building in town, we have designated. We have contact information for the people that can open those for us. But because we don't know what's going to be impacted or what's not, that information isn't really, I can't really tell you where to go yet. Because I could say go to the community center and they might not have running water. Or they might have had a partial structural collapse. Or maybe that's where, who knows, maybe that's where we evacuate all the school kids from a school to the community center. So what you can do is listen to AM radio. The big thing in disasters, and I coordinate our emergency operations center. So when there's a big disaster, the city opens our emergency operations center. It's department heads, people from every different part of city government come together to help coordinate and manage a disaster and support field operations, whether it's police, fire, public works, and get the community back to where we need to be to help us recover. A big function in that emergency operations center is a public information officer. We'll also work with neighboring cities and the county, which is our op area, to put out information, whether it's a Nixle alert, text messaging, web page update, or, none of that's working, it's AM radio, it's community service officers, in orange vest posted at corners around the city. We've got a plan all the way from everything's working to nothing works. And you've got somebody standing on a street corner with a radio that can talk to our dispatch center, so if you have an emergency, you can report it to somebody in orange vest standing on a corner. So that information will be disseminated when it's appropriate. When there's an event, we know where's a good spot. We don't want to send people to Casey, what we call the Red Cross, that we're having everybody go to somewhere else because that's a better designated shelter site. Make sense? Yeah, there's, and one of them's FM, 100.1 KZSC. It's an FM radio station. You can't find the AM button when you do hop in your car. And for AM radio, can't remember. Yeah, what were you saying?
We lost KPOP about 4 years.
It wasn't that one. I can't remember. Use that scan feature. And as you know, there's going to be, if there is such an event, it's going to be on, it's going to go out to all of them.
Oh.
Another question? Moment?
Well, it's like a weight emergency when there's probably a floor and they're quite big, like the bucket or there's so many different kinds.
Yeah, they're all good. They all have, none of them necessarily have anything that you can't get at Freeman Brothers or somewhere else. But what's nice, they're convenient. This what the scouts, when we did the thing with the scouts on Saturday, they sold, I asked them, I said, what, were you guys able to, sell some stuff? And they said what did sell was the big buckets, like 5-gallon buckets with a bunch of stuff in them. And I think it's a convenience factor. You can have one of those, you can put it on the side of your yard. Animals can't get into it, you don't have to think about it. I'd rather spend $80 on this bucket than have to go on the internet and research and get the checklist and go through all this stuff. So it's, yeah, I wouldn't recommend any one in particular, but also remember that sometimes there's things that might meet your specific needs. Don't forget about toiletries, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes. That stuff might not be in these kits. If you take medicine, if you have a horrible bouts of indigestion all the time, they don't come with Tums, so make them a little more personal to you. Pet food. Pet food's a big one. Prescription medication, pet food. And if we open a shelter, we'll designate a shelter site that will take animals. So that's where you can't just show up to one, or you could try and hopefully tell you, hey, this specific shelter is a shelter that you can go and bring an animal. We'll have animal control people there as well. That's a big thing that comes out of disaster. Anything else? We'll move on to CPR. Now that you guys are all dialed on disaster preparedness, everybody's got some homework to do. Or if you don't do any homework, hopefully you got a little something out of this for spending an hour of your time with us. Cool. All right. Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. The CPR stuff, moving right into this. There's been a big push with CPR lately. And in Petaluma, through the fire department, Petaluma Healthcare District, in the past 2 years, we've taught almost 2,000 people in Petaluma on how to do hand-only CPR. For a population of under 60,000, that's a pretty big accomplishment. The reason we're doing it, we see it works. A couple city council people here. I know you're probably tired of seeing me at city council meetings because we've been handing out quite a few Citizen in Action Awards where people are actually doing CPR on people they don't know at 24-hour fitness, at Rancho Meats, well, formerly Rancho Meats, the senior center, at the senior center, and it's working. And it's not that these people are surviving and they're living in a convalescent hospital. They're surviving and riding bikes with their grandkids. I mean, it's some cool stuff. It really does work. What CPR does, and we'll talk about AEDs also. So when somebody has a sudden cardiac event, what we're going to be talking about is somebody that 1 minute they're great, the next minute they're not. If you're trained in CPR, do what you know. If you want to know more, you can get trained formally in CPR. Yes, we still do the ventilations and open their airway, check for a pulse. But what people need, when they have a sudden cardiac event, what they need in those first 5 minutes is their blood circulating. There's already air in their lungs, their heart stopped. So they've got oxygenated blood sitting in their body, they've got fresh oxygen in their lungs, but it's not going to their heart and their brain and the other areas that need it. By doing CPR, you're actually squishing that heart between the ribs and the back, and you're pumping it. You're pumping that blood so it's circling through the body, it's cycling through the body. So when we get there with the defibrillator or advanced life support medications, that person is more, their body is more likely to respond to what we're trying to do because their heart's been oxygenated, their brain's been oxygenated. So that's why you do CPR. Some good statistics are a little motivational. Sudden cardiac arrest is the #1 leading cause of death in the U.S. A person receiving bystander CPR has nearly a 3 times higher likelihood of survival over a person not receiving CPR. 3 times higher likelihood. 92% of people that suffer from sudden cardiac arrest, 92% don't survive. You can increase those odds by 3 times by doing hands-only CPR. A couple of reasons we've gone to hands-only CPR. They've discovered through lots of science that what I was just talking about, they don't necessarily need the ventilations. What was happening was somebody would have a sudden cardiac event, and people would do their standard trip. One, they'd say, ooh, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to do it wrong, and I don't want to get sued. So, there are Good Samaritan laws. As long as you don't do any gross negligence, use your imagination, you will not get sued. If you try, you will not get sued. Alright, so, the other problem was they said, well, I don't know if they're really dead or not, let's see if they have a pulse. Oh yeah, they might have a pulse, and I don't want to give them CPR if they have a pulse, I might hurt them. So, we're not, bystander CPR, not even checking the pulse. They're going like this, they're looking down at the person like, ooh, I really don't want to do mouth-to-mouth. I don't know, something I'm looking at them, you know? It's like, I don't know CPR, anybody else? So that was a big deterrent for people doing it, and people were dying. So, if you see somebody have a sudden loss of consciousness, all you have to do is shake and shout, hey, are you alright? You okay? If there's no response, you tell somebody, hey, call 911. They do that, and then all you have to do is push hard and fast on the center of their chest. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, you would. You do want them on their back. That's true. So, and then you push hard and fast on the center of their chest. Now, American Heart has a great campaign. Google it. It's really good. They do it to the beat of Staying Alive. 100 beats a minute. As long as you don't sing it out loud, nobody will care. So all you do is, so they have some card, some lost consciousness. Hey, are you okay? You alright? They're not reacting? Call 911. And then you find the center of their chest. It doesn't have to be, doing something is better than nothing. You put the heel of your hand right in the center of their chest. It's okay to have a shirt on, bra, right on their sternum, right in this belly part. It's really right between the nipples. Center of the chest, put that heel, put your other hand on top of it. You lean over so that your shoulders are right over the top of them. You push about 2 inches deep. And you just keep going, hard and fast, until somebody tells you to stop. You don't have to stop, check for breaths, check for pulse. That's it. Push hard and fast until 911 gets there. Pretty easy, huh? So, that will increase your chance of survival by 3 times. And it happens. It's crazy. It's happened. Go to, Gramicus, you can watch old city council meetings. We've given out awards. It is the coolest thing to have somebody standing there who has 30 years left of their life, and they're there with their family, with their spouse, and they're thanking the person that bystander CPR because they're alive. It's just amazing. So So another thing that's a big push right now, for good reason, is automated external defibrillators. They look a little something like this. And you might see one actually at City Hall. They just installed one there last year. When you go to City Council on the left-hand side, before you enter the chambers, there's an AED on the wall. There's now one at the Senior Center. There's some in Petaluma High, counseling offices. They're in airports or other places. Do not be afraid of this. If you see one, use it. These things are great, and we're going to show you real quick how to use it. And then what we're going to do is answer questions, and then we'll let people come practice hands-only CPR. No, you don't have to sing the song if you don't want to. I know you all know it, but you don't have to sing it. And we'll also show you how an AED works. But these talk you through it. You just take this out of the cabinet, it will talk you through what you need to do. It won't shock somebody unless they need to be shocked. So you don't have to worry about that. And same with the CPR. If they say, ouch, get off of me, you can stop. Right? You're not going to hurt me. You're not going to hurt me. All those people that are, that's not in the instructions, that's the lecture. All those people that have survived, I asked them, they always want to know, always say, oh, you do CPR, you know, you're going to break their ribs, and we tell them, like, yeah, that's potential, but they're probably going to be cool with it, you know. So I asked them, hey, how'd you do? How's your chest? Oh, it's a little bit sore. What's really happening is you're kind of separating the sternum from the ribs, but it's not, you're not breaking their ribs. I mean, these are people who are fine. It sounds like they're fine. You're not doing any damage to them. All right, the AED. Let's give it a walkthrough. I had one star at AED. I can't remember who it was. It was a pretty good idea. They're like, hey, we want to make these things so simple. And how they proved how simple they were. They took a class of 3rd graders. And they got the AED out for some 3rd graders. And they tested it. Gave every 3rd grader an AED. Listened to instructions, had a mannequin. 100% accuracy they performed in deployment. And they took some cops and some firefighters and some nurses and some doctors. They got about 82% accuracy. We're trying to jump the gun. Oh, I know, we do this first, we do this. Yeah, so, of course, they were doing the right thing, but it wasn't to the, you know, they weren't listening to directions very well. I'm asking my wife, she's back there, she'll say. So, all right, so this one should just walk right through, right? This is a trainer. It's the Petaluma Healthcare District brought this trainer so we could hear it, and we wouldn't have to actually shock somebody for you to see how it works. So turn it on.
2. Training mode. Call for help. Remove pads from package in back of unit. Plug in pads connector.
You know, button just like my cell phone. I can even figure out how to turn that on. This is on.
Pads to patient's bare chest.
Most of the pads work. Okay. And it's saying,
plug in and apply pads.
Just tell us to do the pads. Look at the pads. Look at the pictures.
And apply pads.
And it's not going to move on until I actually do what it says. See the pictures on there?
Pads from package in back of unit. Plug in pads connector.
I'm moving slow, so it's telling me over and over.
Apply pads to patient's bare chest as shown.
I heard that.
If there's
Plug in and apply pads.
someone should be pumping on the chest.
That's right. So when you find if you find somebody, you start CPR, tell somebody call 911, and if there's an AED, the AED. If you keep doing that while somebody else is getting this. Yeah. Any question on where those pads go on the chest? Do you guys see the pictures?
Patient's bare chest.
And she keeps telling me the same thing. It's like, all right, I'll do it.
Plug in and apply pads.
There. Just like the picture.
Apply pads.
I think I should plug in and apply the pads. That's what he's telling me to do.
Pads from package in back of unit. Plug in pads connector. Analyzing heart rhythm.
Oh, as soon as I plug
Do
it in.
not touch the patient.
So now once it analyzes what the heart rhythm is, see if it needs to be shocked. So it said, do not touch the patient.
Advised. Charging. Stand clear.
Everybody clear?
So it's telling you what to do.
Stand clear. Shock advised. 3, 2, 1. Shock 1 delivered. It is safe to touch the patient. Begin CPR now.
as you do it for 2 minutes, this has a metronome.
Continue for 1 minute 45 seconds.
Prompts you, it's giving you a beat. Pretty close. So,
Continue.
that's how easy it is. Do not be afraid of them. All it takes is somebody to take it off the wall. A lot of them, as soon as you remove it, it starts talking to you and telling you what to do. Or it'll say pull. As soon as you pull this thing off, and that's when the pads fall out, it automatically turns on and it starts talking. So that is hands-only CPR, AED. I love, these nice ladies came all the way down here after course. I'd love people to actually practice and see how it is, get a good feel for how far you're pushing down. It's about 2 inches. And hopefully you guys can entertain with that. And is there any questions on hands-only CPR?
Because you're using that machine, you're by yourself, and there's only one other person. She's on the phone. But the first thing you're going to do is you start doing the chest, right? So that the person's finished with the pulse and the two of you can work together. But if you're by yourself, then you're just going to do the chest, right?
Yeah.
Because you're losing all that time.
If there's somebody to help you, you want to go at the same time. So a lot of people have a cell phone on them. They'll just call 911 from a cell phone. You can put it on speakerphone, and you can do it. 2 people with it on speakerphone. If I had the choice, there's an AED right there, and I can grab it. And this person just went down. In adults, the most likely cause they went down is because they had a heart dysrhythmia, and that AED is what's going to fix them. With CPR, you're buying time until the defibrillator, the AED, or the defibrillator the fire department brings, until they can fix them, or medicine can fix them. So, now this is getting off topic. In little kids, it's more likely something else is doing it. You want to do the CPR first before the AED. But that's something, Petaluma Healthcare District teaches CPR, the full 3 to 4 hour training with choking, infants, children, adults. And if you want to know more information on that stuff, get fully certified, they're a great resource. They're doing a class at the Senior Center, or just did one at the Senior Center. Doing it this month after something happened at the Senior Center, so say, hey, let's do this. And then they do class over at Petaluma Valley Hospital too. So if it were me, and it was an adult, and I had AED right there, I'd put that on and start going until it tells me to stop. If I didn't know where an AED was, I'd do CPR and put my cell phone on speaker and wait for the fire department or somebody comes around sooner and have them go look for an AED. Most of the cases where we've had these saves, I can think of one that happened on a tennis court where they did AED deployment, 24-hour fitness, they did the AED deployment. And I can think of 4, 5, 6 other ones where there wasn't an AED there, and those people still survived. Those are the 8% that survive.
Where are they usually located, like at the school or at a facility?
Good question.
In Petaluma High School is in the offices of the Western City offices on the wall right by the university. There's an office. If you're there at night, there will be custodians around.
Well, not usually the high school, but like if I have public there.
They're going to be in easy to spot places. They're trying to make them like fire extinguishers, where you can have access. If it's around the corner of the wall, there will be a sign on the wall that says AED. It might be in an office or something. But typically they're, nope. There's these, this is one kind, there's some red ones, but AED with the heart symbol is like a universal sign. And a lot of times they're in white wall mount cabinets on the wall.
When you call 911, they can tell you where it is. So if there's defibrillators out there, you're not sure if they're registered with emergency services. If you let us know, the health check will follow up. Because if there's a system, if you call 911, that's when it has to be
We're working on a project right now. We just got the last of the money donated. It's a county-wide system that we're participating heavily in to identify all the AEDs in our communities and tie that in with the dispatch centers.
Okay, speak to what I ought to have done when I went down
have an epileptic seizure?
Yes. Well, a seizure, I'm not a doctor, I don't know that much,
If
but
somebody has a seizure, just keep them from hurting themselves. That's all you do. That's all you get to call 911.
well, that's my idea.
Good move. Good move.
Yeah, well, we're going to do the hammer. Wow.
That's what you want to do. You want to protect them from hurting themselves by hitting something.
I had always heard that if I put something in the mouth, how they were falling back. And it's just the gal said, yeah.
Are you an old wife? That's an old wives' tale.
Okay. 30 years. But that was back in the day.
Yep.
That's why I wanted to do that.
Don't do that. Just keep them from for a seizure. Keep them from harming themselves. You can do that too if they stick at you. Yeah, perfect. And when you call 911, they'll walk you through. They have a whole flip chart, and they'll be asking a lot of questions and help guide you through the right thing to do. Even on CPR, they'll guide you through on how to do CPR. Yes.
If you call 911 on your cell phone, where does it go?
It will go now, if you're with a certain area, it will go to Petaluma. It used to be that all cell phone calls went to CHP. For here, it was Vallejo. They've changed that. That stuff's getting, I'm not sure exactly where you have to be for that to work, but calling 911 from a cell phone is okay. If you have a landline, it's even better because you can not say a word and they know exactly where you are. So a regular phone is better, but if you do call from a cell phone, it won't be the problem that you still have to say where you are, but it won't go through 4 different dispatch centers before it gets to somebody who can dispatch an ambulance and fire engine. Yep, absolutely.
If I'm in Santa Rosa, it'll go somewhere in Santa Rosa.
Yes. It's based on your cell phone towers and stuff. Yep. Well, do you want to do a mock shot or is that? Alright, so I could use a couple volunteers. We're going to do what's called a mock shock. What? I already did it! Is my last name Shock? That's not fair. So, that's just ironic anyway. So what we can do is we got 3 volunteers. Oh, this is getting crazy now. Don't be leaving. Oh, volunteer, good. I thought you were just trying to sneak out the back on me. Alright, who else? Who else? Alright. So we're going to do a mock shot. We're going to do a simulated event where somebody has a sudden cardiac episode. And there's one thing, if you have an AED, or any business has an AED, they're supposed to be registered with the county, so the county knows where they are. When they get used, we let the county know, county medical, and as a fire department, we help with that, help do that part. It's quite sick, so that's an automated external defibrillator. Automated and external. All those we use are external. We have defibrillators that are fire department. They're the same thing, they're not automated. We actually look at what the heart rhythm is and know if that's a rhythm that should be shocked or not. We don't have to wait for it to analyze. We have to do that. So paramedics will use a defibrillator. That's a defibrillator that's automated.
Up in here, if you can't see, you can get up and move. So stand in 1 minute, ordering a glass of wine, and the next second, boom, down he goes. Who has number 1? The little guy number 1. All right, come on over. And what is your name? I am Donna. What is it, Donna? Donna happens to be standing right by Mr. Manning Ken, who collapses, and just say, "Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you all right?" Hello in there? And he's not answering, so yell, "Help! Help! Somebody call 911. No, not yet. Just say, "Help! Help! Help! Help!" So number 2 and number 3, come on over. Help! 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 Alright, so number 2. So tell this gentleman, go call 911. Call 911, and you go get the AED. Go get the defib. And then what you're going to do is start pushing on the chest hard and fast to the beat of Staying Alive. Okay? So she's doing compressions. Our 911 caller's there. This gentleman went and got the defibrillator. So come on over and set that defibrillator on the table.
Version 2, training mode.
And you keep
Call
going.
for help.
Excellent.
Remove pads from package in
And
back
we're going
of
to bare
unit.
the chest
Plug
of
in
this guy.
pads connector.
Go ahead and bare the chest. Don't plug him in yet. We're going to put the
Apply
pads on
pads.
first.
Patient's bare
Just
chest
listen to
position.
the prompts. Apply the pads, and you're going to keep pressing up until
Plug
the
in
last
and apply
moment.
pads.
Excellent.
Plug in and
All
apply
right,
pads.
2 inches deep, hard and fast.
Remove
just gotta
pads
keep
from
that
package
blood
in
going.
back of unit.
Who's got number 4? You're supposed to sing Stay Alive.
Let's stay
Apply
alive
pads from
here.
patient's bare chest
And
as
keep
shown.
pressing as he's plugging it in. Up a little higher, right?
Plug in and apply pads.
Now plug that in. Good. And you're talking to 911, telling them where we are.
Analyze heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient.
So everybody clear. We're letting the
Shock
machine work.
advised. Charging. Stand clear.
Make sure nobody's touching the victim from head to toe.
Stand clear. Shock advised. 3, 2, 1. Shock 1
I'll jerk a little
delivered.
bit.
It is safe to touch
And
the
now
patient.
you've already been
Begin
doing
CPR
CPR.
now.
So someone else should take over. You want to switch who's doing it about every 2 minutes. And then right up here a little bit.
Continue.
So the machine is going to let you do 2 minutes of
Continue
CPR.
for 1 minute
And then it's
45
going to
seconds.
say stop CPR and reanalyze again. And if you have enough people, switch you up to
Continue.
doing CPR every 2 minutes so you don't get tired. And that's it. And by doing these
Continue
simple
for 1
steps,
minute 30
you're
seconds.
raising that person's chance of survival threefold, just like Jeff said. Okay? So we can go ahead.
Continue.
Well, let's keep going. But I want you to hear what happens after 2 minutes. But we'll trade. We can let someone else go.
Continue for 1 minute 15 seconds.
All right, so take it over. We're pretending they're doing it for about 2 minutes. So it's about
Continue.
2 inches deep, hard and fast, 100 beats a minute.
Plus it's hard to sit on the table.
Continue for 1
Put your
minute.
shoulders up over it. Perfect. If you have your shoulders up right over the top, then you're really getting to use your body,
Yeah.
the weight of your upper body,
Continue.
instead of having to use your arms. Keep those elbows locked, shoulders over the top.
Continue for 45 seconds.
It's tiring. If anybody else wants to take over, you want to come at it again? But that's great. So let's have
Continue.
someone else come in back in. Any other takers for now? No? You're in.
Continue for 30 seconds.
30 seconds left. 2 minutes is a long time, isn't it?
Don Streeter, who runs the senior center, he was the one that did CPR on the woman that has sudden cardiac event there.
Continue
He
for
was doing it the whole
15
time,
seconds.
and people were going, "Come on, Don, you can do it! Keep going, Don, you got it!" They were cheering him on while he was doing it. They didn't sing "Staying Alive,"
All
but
right, listen.
4, 3, 2, 1. Stop CPR. Stop now. Do not touch the patient.
Everybody clear?
Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient.
Would you stop?
Yeah, it's going to keep talking.
Analyzing.
It's analyzing the rhythm.
No shock advised. It is safe to touch the patient. If needed, begin CPR.
How do you know it's needed?
The machine, if the person isn't moaning, groaning, or moving, and luckily the Petaluma Fire Department just pulled up, and here comes Jeff, so everybody in the room's off the hook.
But if we go ahead and do a second one, if
Yes.
they felt it needed it?
Yes, these machines can do several shocks if necessary. Yeah, there's a battery in there that is good for about 5 years, and then it needs to be changed. It's a 5-year lithium battery. When you have an AED on your site, you'll get reminders to check it every month, and reminders when to change the battery, change the pads. But the machine knows everything to do, and it will do several continuous shocks if needed. If a shock isn't needed, keep doing that CPR unless the victim is showing signs of life. Gets up and says, "Thank you for saving me." Other than that, just keep going, okay?
Well, I mean, I feel a little squeamish about using the defibrillator because I remember reading, oh, that can be dangerous. So are you saying now that somebody, I mean, how do you know it's a heart attack? I mean, what do you?
We don't. Our job really really isn't to diagnose. We don't know by looking. But if this person isn't responding when we talk and shout and is allowing us to do compressions on their chest, chances are they need it.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
It's better to do CPR on somebody who doesn't need it than to not do it to someone who does. By us waiting and hemming and hawing, this person's probably not going to survive. We would rather do CPR on someone who doesn't need it because we don't know what was
I
behind it.
understand about doing the CPR with the defibrillators.
And why are you nervous about that?
Because I heard that that could cause more problems than not.
Absolutely
And
not.
that was years ago.
The defibrillator, the AED will not shock them unless they need it.
Yep.
If you put a real one on me right now, it'll say shock not advised.
Let's do it.
Continue CPR.
Even if you push the shock button.
I have pretty good confidence. What are you saying, I'm dead? What did I? Is that my presentation? What you think of it?
That's a good question though, and that is a problem, and that's why I'm so glad everybody's here so we can educate people. The defibrillator, you cannot make a mistake and shock somebody who doesn't need it. The machine will not allow that. So you just keep doing CPR even if the machine says no shock needed.
The only way you can hurt somebody with this is if you smack them upside the head with it. Yeah, it will not shock them unless they need it.
I have a question about the stickers. How precise do you have to be? Like, I mean, like, I don't know if I'm going to put this in my computer.
Not exact.
No, but I mean, there has to be like flat or anything, or just as long as it's.
The real defibrillator pads are much more sticky and they'll adhere much better than the trainers. And there is wiggle room. They don't have to be exactly like the picture. Yeah. Very easy to use, very difficult to misuse. The only mistakes that rescuers make is when it says do not touch the patient, analyze rhythm, really make sure nobody's touching. Because if this poor guy, if his wife or his loved one is touching his chest, the pads might say no shock needed because they're reading my heartbeat, not his. So when it says don't touch the victim, really clear. And then when the shock is being delivered, you don't want anybody to touch the victim then either. Because if you're touching, when the shock is being delivered, what's going to happen to you? They're going to feel shock.
But it won't. It's happened. Trust me, it's happened. And it doesn't. Like we've first responders have been shocked on accident before, or somebody laying on a wet lawn and you're kneeling next to them, you can feel it. But even if somebody's touching it, it's not. You're not going to die from it. You're not going to get knocked out. You're not going to die. It's going to be uncomfortable. You won't do it again. But you don't have to worry about it. Oh, great! Now I'm.
You won't become another victim from it, but it might not be enough dose for him. But it's okay. Just keep doing your CPR because you get another chance to shock in 2 minutes. So they're pretty foolproof. Pretty foolproof. Yes.
How are these units being distributed, or are they being distributed?
The Petaluma Healthcare District, for our city of Petaluma, we have the Heart Safe Community Program. So we are in alignment with a lot of different organizations trying to strategically place defibrillators in our community. Business people can purchase them. We have a fabulous organization in Petaluma, Cruise on the Boulevard, who runs Petaluma Save a Life. They've donated over 50 defibrillators right here in Petaluma. So there's a few different ways to get a defibrillator. So, some people are purchasing them, some people they get donated. It just depends. But the more places that have these guys and the more people trained in compression only CPR, our statistics are going to go up. Survival rates will go up. So that's why we're here tonight, and that's why we're so happy everybody's here. And we will have a few things set up. If anybody wants to practice compression only with a little bit of hands-on, you're more than welcome to do that. One more question?
So, I've used up my lunch.
No, I didn't mean to use you.
That's me. Anyway, so how about this? You're alone and you're having a heart episode. Like I keep aspirin right by my bedside, but just pop one real quick.
Call 911 first before you do anything else.
Right.
And they'll advise you and direct you. But if you wait too long and you're not able to make that phone call, call 911 first before you even get your
So should I then pop an aspirin, do you think? Is that any good at all?
It depends on your own medical history. They are recommending that, but not for every single situation. Call 911. Don't sit alone. You have that
Okay, well, here's the thing about 911. I have had, sadly, had to call twice. And it was, I mean, really awful. They kept asking questions and asking questions. One time I was with an 88-year-old woman and I needed to tend to her and there's asking questions and I'm like, oh, please stop talking, you know. And you hang up and they call back. It's just awful. And the same thing happened. Someone was breaking in my house and asking questions. I said, listen, I've got to, you know, get out of here from the back door. Asking questions. I mean, it's, what is that about?
Because they want to make sure they're sending the right person to your house. When you
But
call,
already
when you call 911, one person's a call taker, another person's a dispatcher. So when they're asking questions, somebody else is already dispatching units, getting them on the road. So don't think because they're still talking to you that other actions, they'll still be on the phone when we pull up at the front door.
Yeah.
So they're doing both at the same time. They're doing everything they can to get good information from you to see if they can help you before first responders get there, or get good information for the first responders so when they arrive, they know that the vicious pit bull's been put in the backyard, or you know that they know this person has a certain medical problem. Information they can relay to first responders.
Yeah.
So, good question.
And having said a lot, I would like to say this about the first responders. At the time when I had an 88-year-old woman who was knocked her head, blood spurting everywhere all over me, you know, I tell you, they were there like that. All these great-looking guys rushed in. I mean, there was 9 of them. They knew exactly what to do. They tended to her. They were kind to her. They were kind to me. I mean, it was a wonderful experience. So,
Good.
yeah.
Did you have a question?
I did. You may have asked this or answered already, but I came late. I was working late, so I came over to
Okay.
enjoy Aqus. But I work next door, and I'm not sure if I missed it, but where would I get one of these other than the donations that you mentioned earlier?
Most businesses don't qualify for the donated defibrillators. Most of the time they get donated to 501c3s.
Where would I buy one?
The Petaluma Healthcare District, and then you automatically be enrolled in the Heart Safe community. So
how would I know if my neighbor business had one, or would I want
if
myself?
we're networking, trying to get a registry of all the defibrillators in town, so you know, more than likely we would know where the closest one was near your business. But there are some out there that aren't registered. So anybody who knows of the AED, it would be helpful for us and for 911 down the road to know where all these machines are.
This is the county
Takes everybody. I'm sorry.
Also,
Well, it's going to be countywide, but right here in Petaluma, we have our own power team that's really getting this off the ground and going. And it's moving in other cities, but we're really doing great here. So it is a countywide. Obviously, the 911 dispatch is countywide and things like that. But pretty soon, defibrillators are going to be everywhere. It's already happening.
What's the ballpark price on one of those?
Our package is about $1,750. Yeah, and that's a whole package of stuff. And to make sure that you're in compliance with all the federal and state and local laws. Yeah. Any other questions?
If nobody's got anything else, I really want to thank Aqus for letting us be here. Victoria and her Rebuilding Together team for putting this all together. Petaluma Healthcare District, thank you guys very much. And if you'd like to stay and ask questions or practice either the AED or hands-only CPR, please do. Thank you very much for coming out. Spread the word and do your homework. Do your homework.